Thanks for coming back to the Real Estate Podcast. Thanks to everybody who's participating and listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like the podcast, or tell somebody about it to go and like and subscribe. We like to thank Ham Radio. Don't forget to go to Ham Radio because we're on the podcast every Monday at 6 o'clock. Thanks to King Richard for the production and doing the podcast. And what we want to talk about, we're going to continue the second part about the ups and downs of the real estate business. With me today, I got Yvette. Yvette's been with me. She's more like a sister to me. But she's been with me since, how long? Since, what?
About 02, 03.
She's been with me since like 02, 03. That's like 20 years. So we have a very good relationship. Yvette's more like an REO agent. I don't know if you guys know what an REO agent, but it stands for real estate owned. And she mostly deals with the banks. And I get most of my properties from the bank. So we're going to talk about a little bit about the agent from her perspective, because I'm not an agent, so I really can't speak as an agent or for an agent. So I'm going to ask her questions. She's going to ask me questions as an investor, some of the things that she think that people might want to know from my perspective based on my experience over the last 20 years. So thanks for coming on the podcast, Yvette. I certainly appreciate it.
You're welcome. No problem.
Can you explain to people more so what an REO agent is as opposed to a regular real estate agent?
Yes. Well, first of all, REO agents deal with financial institutions, whether it be Freddie Mac, VA, private lenders. Has to be some kind of financial institution that has security on properties in which the borrower has defaulted on the loan, and the property gets returned back to the note holder, which is usually, again, some financial institution. They are mostly out of town people, and they need local agents to dispose of the properties for them, to market it, sell it, give them an idea of the pricing, the appraisal. We do BPOs, which are called broker price opinions, similar to an appraisal, in which we give our opinion of the value, and then we market it on the MLS and sell them to primarily investors, sometimes owner occupants, but mainly investors like our.
So that's, a lot of people don't know about REO agents, but that's, as far as real estate agents, I have relationships with real estate agents, but most of my relationships are with REO agents, since probably the majority of properties I buy from banks over the last 20 years. Before we go to the next question, y'all see my man Melvin not here today. He wasn't able to be here, so we just want to give him much love. And he'll definitely be, I know you guys miss him and tired of hearing me, but he'll be back on the next podcast, I promise. So as an REO agent, Yvette, you deal more so with clients like me, right?
Right. In particular, yes.
I know sometimes I get on your nerves. What's some of the things that I do that rub you the wrong way that you don't want new investors coming in to do?
Well, I guess more or less for any type of business transaction is communication. I would like to say the phone thing, of course, texting, even emailing at times, and that's just with anybody in general. I think when you're trying to get something accomplished business-wise, it's just to get open lines of communication, and I don't think you necessarily have to answer your phone every time a call, but just a 24-hour return call would be nice. And again, I think that goes for anybody that you're trying to do business with, because it shows good faith. It shows that you're interested in doing business with the person, and you want to make the person feel like you actually care about the business that you're trying to conducting with them. But yeah, I would say that was number one. And then also I would say make sure you have funds available for deposits. Make sure if you need a proof of funds to show it that is readily available, and that's basically it. I think our relationship has been fine over the years. I don't have any major problems whatsoever, except for sometimes can't get in touch with you. But other than that, it's been great. I have no complaints.
And I want to say, that's the complaint that everybody has about me, my phone. And I want to let everybody know to care about me. I'm working on my answering the phone situation. I know for the last 20 years, I just have a problem with not answering the phone. And I understand that. I don't want people to say, I understand what my issues are, and I'm trying to correct them. So I'm working on my communication, my phone issues. So don't give up on me.
And I'm not giving up on you.
It's going to change.
It's been over 20 years, damn near, and I'm not giving up.
I ain't answered my phone in 20 years, so I'm gonna try to change. So people can change. So bear with me, everybody, to try to call me. And I just got a problem with it, but we're gonna work on it.
Yes.
So as an REO agent, I know they hard. Well, first of all, Because, you know, we go meet with the banks, man. We go meet with the banks. So
Right.
the hardest people to build relationships with in the industry is probably asset managers. I actually was trying to get an asset manager to come to one of my meetings, and what he told me is like, we're like a secret society. He said, I was gonna pay for his expenses and everything. Like, dang, Al, we like a secret society, man. We really don't want to be exposed like that because we don't want to have to deal with a whole lot of people. We just want to do our job. But
Right.
the asset managers.
Awesome.
But if you can't get with an asset manager, the next best person to deal with is somebody like Yvette. So I've done so many properties through her that I really appreciate her. And if it wasn't for her, I don't think I could have as much success. So what are some of the things that you seen in the industry? You got any questions you want to ask me on some of the things that you see me go through in the industry that you think other people, I know my communication is an issue. I'm dealing with that. What are some of the other things you see in the industry for investors that's trying to get in the game that they should be aware of or notice or try to take advantage of?
Well, I think for the most part, and I think you mentioned it earlier in the first section, which is researching property, researching your people that you're dealing with as far as contractors and even real estate agents, because you want to make sure you're getting a property that's worth what you think is going to be worth once you finish, and you don't want nobody BSing you on the values just so they can get the listing or just to get your business. I think you want to deal with honest real estate agents that's going to be upfront to tell you if you think you can get the number, if it's really feasible, or if it's just a dream number that's what you want. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times a buyer won't care how much money you have in the property. They just want to know that everything is in there, it's working and functionable,
Right.
and nice for the next for the owner occupant person, the homeowner that may buy it after you finish fixing it up. They just want solid, good work properties. And I think some people skip and make shortcuts when it's not necessary on little things. And those little things, all the little details matter, in my opinion, when people are looking out there, looking at houses, in particular home buyers. Something that investors, I don't think, always notice, something that a home buyer may notice and want to have done and completed in their house. So yeah, I would just, like, you know, you gotta switch your hat from investor to home buyer at certain points, and if you're not able to do that, then, you know, I don't think you're gonna be successful.
Right. No, well taken. So what are the things, like, say, if somebody reach out to you tomorrow, like through this podcast, what are some of the things they can expect from you? Do you do the comps for them? You just gonna give them the property and that's it? Or do you let them know how much work gonna be done in the house? What do you do for them?
It would depend on the person level of expertise. Some people act like yourself. You don't really need me to do comps in particular. Sometimes you do, but most time you don't, because you're already familiar with the neighborhood, and so you basically know the values. But if I'm dealing with a beginner investor, yeah, I would probably have to hold their hand and give them all the numbers, the before numbers that I think they should purchase at, and their out number once it's all fixed up, what I think that they're going to get it at. And again, these are just opinion. The market changes every day. Basically, it can change every day, just like, you know, interest rates up and down. So does values go up and down depending on the time of year.
Yeah.
And the day of the week, honestly. But for the most part, any questions that anybody asks me and I'm knowledgeable of it, I'm gonna give it to them. Whatever it is, if I can help anybody, new or not, I'm gonna give it to them.
So the people that reach out to you, is there certain what advantages can they have? Can they get the properties firsthand, or do they generally get the properties listed once you just tell them I'm going to list it tomorrow or something like that, or do you give them the heads up before the listing?
Well, if it's you know, clients that I've had in the past and I know they're looking for a particular property, they have a particular budget, and my property that I may have falls within that, yeah, I will reach out. I'll make a few phone calls because there's no guarantee that one particular investor is going to want the property. So I basically make multiple phone calls and put it out there before I list it. And then if they don't want it, then of course it'll hit the market. And sometimes some of these banks, they want it on the market for at least 2 weeks before I can even try to sell it on my own. So sometimes, you know, I have no choice but to put it out there for everybody. But at the same time, I will tell specific clients about it ahead of time, just so they know.
Shoot, I remember the good old days when we used to go down and meet with the banks, show them the money, get a property, tell them to get a property vet, and hopefully I could get a drop on it. But those days are gone.
Yeah, there's a lot of new rules now.
Yeah, so you see me, you've been with me for a while, so you've seen the ups and downs I've been through in this whole business over all these years. What are Do you got any questions of me that I might give a heads up to somebody that's coming in the game?
Yeah, on the rental side of it, I would have a question. I mean, I think a lot of people, investors have when they want to buy properties and hold them, not necessarily flip, but hold for rentals, is what is the good spread? Like how much above the rent amount, cash flow, I should say, how much should they have cash flow amount that you think is a good number?
Well, I can speak generally. As far as the clients that I have over the years, and it surprises me because most people are happy making $300 to $400 above what their mortgage and expenses are.
Is that a good number to you?
No, I don't have a property. I make $1,000 over my expenses on all my properties.
Okay, but on average, the good number is what do you think? A good number? 400. Okay. Yeah, I think so too. I was gonna say 5. I think between 4 and 5 over your mortgage is pretty good. 500
is about average. It's good. If most people's making, if the rent's coming in is $1,500, and the expenses are $800 or $1,000, they're making $500. That's a good deal, especially if they have equity in the property.
Right.
So that's a really good deal because you're buying it for long term, not the short term.
Right. Yeah, so that was one of the questions I thought people would want to know because I think investors have a different idea. Different people have a different number in their mind. Like you said, yours is 1,000 that you get on yours, but somebody might be quite happy with 500 above and be fine with that. I would actually.
Yeah, rental income been nice. That's how I was able to keep my kids in school. I mean, it's been good. I can't complain about the industry, even though I'm on the tail end and trying to get out of that part as far as the rentals, sell all my rentals. It's been good because if you get rentals, when I went to the bank, when I first got my big line of credit, and I went to the bank, and the banker was talking to me, he said, "Man, if you got income coming in and assets, you less risky to the bank." So once he told me that, and then another thing he told me I'll never forget, it's easier for him to do $1 million loan than it is for him to do a $20,000 loan, and I never thought that. So I was like, okay, let me get to the point where I could borrow $1 million. And let me get some properties where I got income and assets, and then the bank will look favorably upon you because that's what they're looking for to make the loans less risky. So those are the things that I shop for, and it did good to me. Got my kids to school, helped me to do some of the things I really wanted to do. But then it got to be a burden when you get to a certain point. I think back in 2004, I had 42 properties. That's when it started getting to be a burden, and if you manage them yourself. And then over the years, if you keep doing it, it's going to burn you out. But it's still a good industry. I'm still thankful that I got into it. And I just met a lot of good people, so I was able to take advantage of my relationships. And
how long do you think you should hold it before you resell it after you had it for a rental to get that equity out of it? Because sometimes most time you do have instant equity in most properties. Yeah, but sometimes it takes time.
Yeah, I would wait till it get to the point. I think I kept my rentals too long, but I would wait till it get to a point where if you see a certain resale on the street, like say if you're only in your house for $150, and all of a sudden the house is just like yours, just sold for $250 next door. It's time to go. That's $100,000. So take that $100,000, take that leverage, and go do something else. Because like I said earlier, you make $100,000. I put an average of $20,000 to $25,000 down on each property. So if I got $100,000 and I put $25,000 down on 4 properties, and I make an average of $30,000 a property, well, that's $120,000 I can make off the $100,000 and get my $100,000 back. So if I had a rental property and then the value went up $100,000, I'll cash out and sell it, take that money and buy 4 more properties. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
That makes sense to the gallery?
And do you have in terms of taxes, do you have to write all that stuff off, or with your profit, you have to, I guess all that's at the end of the year?
Yeah, so that's actually, right, that's a good question. That's actually one of the good things about this business is that I can write pretty much everything off. Like when I first started, you know those black trash bags? Remember the office on 25th? I used to keep all my receipts in a black trash bag. And then at the end of the year, I'll just organize the receipts and stuff like that. And all that's a write-offs. So then I started getting to the point where I was having like $200,000 in write-offs, something crazy. And the receipts was getting crazy. So now I got an accountant. And then she organized me. She made me get organized because if she had to count my receipts out, it's more money. It's like $5,000 for taxes. So then I got somebody to start doing my receipts and putting it in a spreadsheet. She sent me a spreadsheet. So my tax is a lot easier now.
To do.
Because I put everything on a credit card, so I got to track of that. Yeah, so it's a lot easier now. But you should have a good accountant and a good lawyer. in this business if you're gonna do a certain amount of volume.
Right.
But taxes, yeah. Taxes are gonna eat you up because you sell a property. You got this thing called capital gains.
Right.
What is it, like 22% or something?
I don't know. Last time I heard it was 15%.
15%. So if you make 50,000, they can take. You got to pay 15% off the top, or whatever the capital gains is. I don't know what it is right now, but every property you sell, you got to pay 15, unless you have write-offs. So if you got the write-offs, you can write your profit down. So if it show you made $50,000 in profit, but then you can show. Did you spend that 50 and you got the receipts to show that you spent that 50 for that building? It's gonna show like you made zero profit. So that you don't pay the capital gains or the taxes on that. Mm-hmm. So having a good accountant and keeping track of all your money is really vital.
Right, I agree.
What other questions you think?
Let's see, I wrote, do you think the current real estate market is gonna keep going down? Where do you see it in like the next 6 months? What's going on?
Gee, I was just telling Daryl this. This is the answer. The two properties you selling for me now. So the one on Bel Air, I was listing at 177. Now I'm selling it for 150. That's $30,000 I lost on that one. Orleans was listed at 220. Now we selling it for 170. That's $50,000. So just those two properties right now, we losing $80,000. So it's terrible market right now. Like,
so where do you see it going in the future, though? How do you? Do you think numbers are going to continue to come down because it is a buyer's market right now, for sure.
It's a buyer's market. It was a seller's market
a couple
of months ago. But if you can, this is what I said earlier. If you can find a development area like this area right here, it's crazy bought ups. Last summer, nothing sold on this street. On these last 3 blocks right here, nothing sold for more than 50,000, right? Fixed up. Now there's development going on. The city and the state is giving out development funds, so people are starting to buy here. So now they're buying shells with no roof for 50,000, right? So once they fix those up, they're gonna put it on the market for 100, 150, and then if you do something that's a little better than what they have, then you might get 200. And then if you could beat that rehab, you might get 250. So the next 3-4 years, they might be going for 250 right here. And people are going to look back and be like, dang, I remember I used to drive by there. It was nothing but board ups and vacants. And they're going to regret it. So if you can find a development area, because the city and the state is pouring money into development areas. I know for a fact that it's $1 million in grants, more than couple of $1 million in grants going up and down the street that the city and the state is giving out. And those people that's taking advantage of that are going to make those houses into homeowners houses and sell them, which is going to make the values go up like that. So if you used to find something in this area right now for like 40, you could either sell it for 50 wholesale or fix it up, put another 80 or 90 or 100 in it at 140 and maybe sell it for 200 next year.
So basically it's a whole game around here now.
Yeah.
As far as buying and not trying to get out with less than a year, you think?
Right. I will hold something in this area until all this grant money and development money gets fixed up and sold, and then you're going to see the values go up, and that's when you can take advantage of the equity or the appreciation is what they call it.
So I guess key would be for investors to know, to do research really, to find out what's going on in neighborhoods that they're interested in purchasing in,
right,
and see what's going to happen in the future.
Or know somebody with the city, or know one of those companies that's developing in the area and build a relationship with them. And then you could either sell them, find deals around here and sell it to them for wholesale and put a fee on top of it, or get a loan, buy it, and hold it, do your work, and just hold it until they start selling off their stuff. That's what I would do.
Right. Well, that's a good plan.
Yeah.
One of the other questions I would have is, I think a beginner may want to ask a seasoned investor like yourself is, like, what is some of the major pitfalls? I know that you mentioned some earlier, but I'm just talking about if you had to put one to it, like one major pitfall about this whole deal, this whole industry, what would it be that just have you shaking your head?
And I say this all the time. Everybody should know this by now, but it's trustworthiness. Putting people around you that's trustworthy, because you really can't trust nobody in the industry. Like, I'm fortunate enough that over the last 20 years, right now I got everybody around me that I can trust. Like, I don't even mess with nobody that I don't feel as though I can trust, because I don't put nobody around me. I just keep people like you around me that's already earned their trust. Mel and them, keep Daryl, you know what I'm saying? So the people around me now is that I did the process of elimination over the last 20 years, and this is where I'm at.
Right.
But,
So to the beginner person, because you're already doing it for 20 years, so of course you've already ironed out all the kinks and people. But a beginner person with just getting their team around them, that's going to be a little different for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because they got to know who can they trust without doing business with them.
Right.
So is that something that everybody's going to have to just go through?
It's a trial and error learning process, but you can cut through it quicker if you know somebody that's done business with somebody who's been proven trustworthy. Like if somebody come to me and be like, "You got a REO agent that you can trust," well, who you think I'm gonna say? You feel me? Mm-hmm. That way they just cut trial and error through 20 other people.
Right.
Right. So it's all affiliation and aligning with yourself and just asking people.
So for new people, it'll be basically again doing research on whoever you're
referrals,
dealing
like
with,
working on
and
referrals,
getting some idea of the type of person that they are, based on other people.
Right, and get to know, because all in relationships.
Right.
Like people like Jeff, my lawyer, I trust him. Right. Mm-hmm. You, I trust you. My brother, my nephew. You know, that's about all I can think of right there. Anybody else I deal with, I trust it to a certain extent, but like I'm not gonna put myself at risk around people because I've seen it too many times. So that's my best advice: is put people around you that you can trust. And how you trust them is, I don't know how you can get to the point where you can determine that you can trust them, other than asking somebody that's already dealt with them what they think. So that's my biggest advice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's important. And then the last question I had would be, what is your number one way of finding deals, good deals?
Okay. I don't do, what's that thing called when they riding around looking for, I ride around, I write down the addresses, but driving for dollars or whatever, I've never done that. So I've been blessed enough to not do that. Even though I could do it if I want, like when I see vacant houses in a good area, I'll write it down, but I don't have time to follow up on it. The way I get my deals is people like you, REO. I deal with REO agents and wholesalers. Banks, REO agents and wholesalers. Them the three places I get my deals from.
Okay. And so as far as a new person, how would you suggest they do it? Because you already have established relationships with people. How would you tell a beginner?
I would tell them to do what Al Davis did. Try to build a relationship with the banks.
Okay.
Try to build a relationship with REO agents and try to build a relationship with wholesalers. Mm-hmm. But if you can't do that, drive around, find vacant properties in the area where you want to buy, skip trace and find the owners, and try to get the owners to negotiate a deal with you and put it under contract and wholesale it.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel about, like you and I both experienced, and I think a lot of other people that own property do, getting cold calls from people on your cell phone all day? How do you feel about them type people?
Cold calls to do what? To buy a house from you?
Yeah, but they said, well, you the owner. No, when they trying to buy a house from you, but they just, I guess doing skip tracing and finding out. For instance, I have a couple properties and I get calls almost every day from somebody that want to buy my house I live in. And I'm like, but is that a good option? Do you think they get deals out of that?
No, matter of fact, I just had a bad experience with that. And the guy called me yesterday. I was like, man, I can't do no more business with you. That's terrible. He cold called me to buy one of my houses. So I was like, all right, here go a wholesale deal. He said, all right, we'll get it. Da. He didn't close on the deal. He didn't close on it. So now I got to come out of my pocket, you know what I'm saying, and make it right with the seller, because the seller gave me the house. I wholesaled it to them. They didn't close, so now I got to make it right with the seller. Then he gonna call me yesterday talking about, man, the price wasn't right. Like, you knew the price was, you know what I'm saying? Like, man, you can't do business like that, man. Now,
and he was a cold caller person?
He cold called me. I didn't know the guy, but he said, yeah, we legit, man, this and that. I gave him the address, the price, took him, you know what I'm saying, and then he didn't close. So now to make it right with the seller, I got to give him $2,500 extra dollars out of my pocket. So that's terrible. That came from a cold caller. So that made me frown upon all the cold callers from here on in. Mm-hmm. Like when they call them, like, nah.
Right, and whereas you didn't think that before, because every time they call me, I
just give them a wholesale property. I always got wholesale property. So if they call me, I used to just say, yeah, go to my website, or here's the address. Go look at it. Let me know what you think.
And so, have you ever sold one to one of them people outside of that guy from yesterday? This never happened.
No, because I just deal with people I know now. So
yeah, I think that makes sense too, because you don't know what these people are working with at the end of the day.
You don't, and then I just deal with the people I know. Like right now, I got 1,500 clients. I try to get people around me, like my mentor students, I get them the first opportunity to sell my wholesale property so they can start making some money back off the class, right? Mm-hmm. And then I got like 5 wholesalers I get my property students so they can make money off it, and I'll split it with them. But push come to shove, I don't have time to follow through on all the wholesale deals, so I need to put a team around me. Mm-hmm. But I'm not dealing with no more cold callers that call me in one houses because it just left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I understand it, but I just find it quite annoying just to get these calls from random people.
But that's how they draw up business.
I know, and I guess it's a strategy that works for some.
Yeah.
But I had a call on my way over here today, as a matter of fact, and I just was like, I live in the house, you know what I mean? It's like my house I live in.
Right, don't sell that. Like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We can edit this out.
Okay.
But how does a wholesaler work with like an REO agent? How does a wholesaler
like you want me to ask, like, what do you when they get you, if they get her number, what's question they should ask you?
Yeah, as a wholesaler. If I'm a wholesaler and I want
and you want to work with Yvette?
Yeah, and I want to get a deal done.
Okay.
Does that work? How would a wholesaler do?
Okay, I'll ask her. So let me ask you this, Yvette. If somebody calls you, and should they say, if they want to wholesale the deal they get from you and don't want to buy it or can't buy it, but they want to wholesale it, how should they approach you? If I give somebody your number today and they tell me they want to buy a house or get a wholesale deal, and I give them your number, how should they approach you? Tell you that they want to wholesale the house off the top? Tell you they want to buy the house off the top? What would you recommend that they say to you to do business?
Well, I've had wholesalers contact me in the past and offered a wholesale deal and see if I had any clients that wanted to purchase it, and it didn't work out. But this was the way it went down was I had a client that was interested in the property, but the wholesaler did not have total control of the property, and I did have a willing buyer to want to purchase it. So I kind of shy away from wholesalers now because of that experience, because I had a really ready, willing buyer to buy this wholesale property from this wholesaler who at the end of the day did not have total control of the property to sell it. It didn't work.
So the main thing is for the wholesaler to have the property under contract.
Right.
No, you talking about,
yes.
But I think he's talking about to get a wholesale property from you.
No,
You talking about they got a
wholesale
and want her to market it for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, and like you want me to sell it for you, right?
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And that's happened to me. That was
I never did. I never thought about that.
That was an earn deal one time.
Oh yeah, he was supposed to be here today.
That deal, of course, right? As far as like being the seller's agent and the buyer's
Right, yeah. So really I'm not the seller's agent at all in that sense like that. I'm just a buyer's agent in that sense. Because I had a relationship with the buyer, and the seller, he didn't need me because the wholesale person already know what they're doing.
But they have to have it under contract.
Yes, they have to have control of the property to be able to sell it, and this particular situation did not. And he didn't even want to give me a commission, like as a wholesaler. And if I find a buyer for you,
right, he gotta pay you.
Right, and so he's like, "No, this deal is so good, I'm not giving no commissions to agents." But he called me, so I wound up actually.
That's the greedy part.
But look, but I actually wound up getting the buyer to give me a commission, which normally buyers don't pay agents commissions. Normally comes from the seller. But he wanted the deal that bad that he was willing to give me X amount of money to facilitate it.
That's rare.
So again, we got very close, but did not happen. And the same wholesaler just called me recently about another deal, and I told him I didn't want to deal with him anymore because of that deal, and he completely got amnesia on me. And I was like,
remember.
Right, he didn't remember that he didn't want to give me a commission, and he wanted me to run comps on the property.
Oh, nah.
Right, and I was like, nah, I don't have time for that right now. So, but I have yet to deal with a wholesaler that it kind of worked out, like, you know, like.
That's a great workshop. Just a wholesaler workshop, just to really explain what that is for people that don't know, because they come to her and they uninformed. They telling her to do comps.
They wasting her time.
They wasting your time too as the buyer.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with like him. He was the guy she told me I was supposed to be at the meeting today. He was on the Zoom, but yeah, he did something. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I mentioned it to him about the fact that he didn't even want to give me, he said, "Nah, I wouldn't do that.
But you did it.
And like, why would I lie?"
Right.
Yeah, I know when somebody said they not paying me. I'm not
Right.
gonna
Who gonna
forget that.
So that's definitely a down part of the business right there.
Right, and so that the relationship with a regular real estate agent or REO agent with a wholesaler is something that to be tweaked, like 'cause it's not a normal relationship
Right.
that we have
Right.
in the normal scheme of things. So it would have to be, and by me being a broker, I'm able to. I answer to me. I don't have to go ask somebody. Well, what can I do? Is this okay? And this and
Right.
that. I kind of feel in my way because it was a new situation for me. And once I figured it out that I could get paid from the buyer, then I was okay with doing it because I'm representing, so I know who I'm representing, and we just went from there.
Because I was gonna say, I recently, because I sent y'all a property, right? I talked to a realtor. I didn't know I was talking to a realtor because sometimes when you go on these sites, they end up being realtors. I'm like, what? I'm looking for the person who's selling the property, but they end up being a realtor trying to like finesse some way, try to get their percentage, and they was like, oh, so you trying to wholesale the property? I don't work with wholesalers.
That's what the agent said.
Yeah. So I understand that.
Right, but like I said, if it's an established relationship and there's some money to be made for the agent, I don't see why they would turn it down.
So,
but it just has to be a seasoned wholesaler, know what they're doing, and it can't be just
like it's a lot of wholesalers out there that just they don't understand.
Picking up a phone and calling you, talking about something. Do you want to sell your property?
Right, and then Melvin can tell you this. We be like, well, how, is it HVAC in there? Is it ductwork in there? Or is it?
Right.
I don't
They
know.
don't ask all these questions.
You know what I'm saying? Is it wooden windows or is it aluminum windows? I don't know. Well, did you go see the property? No, I ain't seen it yet. So that's my pet peeve. Out of all the stuff, somebody get a property because they know I'm a buyer, and then they
don't know nothing about.
They don't go see the property. They just call Al Davis. Somebody call and say, I got this property for $50,000. They're like, okay, send it straight to Al and say, I got a property for $55,000. I ain't gonna see it, right? And then they want $5,000 off that, and I get real mad at that, and I won't even do no. I'm like, did you go see it? Why you ain't go see? How you gonna call me? If I just won't do no more business with them. Like, don't call.
Those probably the Redfin people. They go right to Redfin and they get the numbers from there, and then they probably just call you, hey, I got a property. Yeah,
it looked like they're going for 200 on that block. I just want 55. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, well, how many bedrooms is it? I think it's 3. Is it got HVAC? I don't know. Is it aluminum windows or wooden windows? I don't know. How many bathrooms? Did you go see the property? Nah. But if they say address, and I know it's a guy, like, I go see it, man. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't giving you 5, man. Just send me an address. I just do it like that. But we get that a lot. So those are some of the things that we want people to know. If you're trying to get in the business, there's certain things you need to know. You have to align yourself with the right people. Make sure they're trustworthy people. You know what I mean? And you gotta put work in. It's not gonna be easy as somebody call you with a house and you call somebody with a house and just ask them for $5,000 off it. I gotta work hard for my money. I just want people to work for their money. So if I ask you about a wholesale deal, you don't know how many bedrooms it got or bathrooms. You don't know if it's HVAC, how tall is the basement. That means you ain't been there. So nah. I mean, I know what you're trying to do.
Some properties, they is so bad in so bad shape you can't even go in. Like, have you had properties like that?
Yeah, all the time. We do properties like that.
How do you even get those estimates, those numbers?
No, I just say the roof is in the basement. You know what I'm saying? So you can make it whatever you want to make it. Because you got to put the whole house back together. So you can make it 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever.
Total gut.
Yeah, that's a total gut. Hey, Mel, is it total? Yeah, that's a total gut when you got to put the roof back on and all that, right?
Yeah.
Or is it just shell?
Same thing.
Yeah, that's a shell.
I would say that's
a shell is just the 4 walls. Shoot, some of them don't even have a back wall. So I only know that's a shell. But those are some of the things that you got to watch out for. Yvette's here. She deals with the bank, so I don't really send her wholesale deals. I will, then I know, but she knows she don't want to deal with the wholesale.
Them deals so that
I was thinking that maybe call her for the wholesale deals, but when you call her, do you want them to tell you they just looking for it to wholesale it out, or you want them to be an actual buyer?
No, because I don't normally deal like that with a wholesaler. Like if that's the case, I would sell it myself to somebody. I wouldn't
so
be a middleman in the middle. I'm looking for people who want to buy.
Right.
Basically.
So wholesalers don't call her. Like I ain't saying don't call her. She don't want to work with wholesalers. That's what she's saying.
No, right. Normally I do not work with wholesalers because the relationship is different between me and an investor, a person who can actually close on the deal, as opposed to the middleman.
So basically, if they want to get a wholesale deal from you, they should call somebody like me and see if I got it from you, because I got the capabilities to close on the property if they don't wholesale it.
Right, because my deals are not necessarily wholesale deals. I mean, a wholesaler is a person that's in the middle if
Right.
they're between the seller and the buyer.
Right. So if you want to call me, I can put in a contract, because a lot of wholesalers don't have the funds to buy the property. That's why they wholesaling, right? But like, she know I got the funds to buy the properties, so I'll put in a contract and I'll give you 30 days to try to wholesale. If you don't, I gotta buy it. But I would never put in a contract if it's not in the property that I want to get stuck with. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the best way if you want to deal with an REO agent. But they generally deal with just buyers, because there's so many people who want bank-owned properties. You don't have to deal with a wholesaler.
Right. For instance, I have a property I was telling Al earlier coming up, 1649 Carswell Street. It's in my
give it all the
pipeline now. And I
address.
have a lockout there. I've been waiting to sell this property for like 2 years from the bank because they had a tenant living in there, and that's a whole nother issue when these properties get
give it all
foreclosed on.
address.
And they had tenants in them. And so you had to go through the whole eviction process, and they finally got an eviction date. And so that's a property that I will be marketing soon. And
So I'm getting ready to go look at that one.
right, and if somebody wants it before it hits the market, then they got a little jump.
Yeah, so that's how you get advantage.
But I can't give a price yet. That's the next thing they're gonna ask me. Well, how much is it? I don't know yet.
But it don't matter, because a real investor should be able to go out there.
Right. Well, I'm just letting
Yeah,
people
you don't
know.
gotta give them a number.
Right.
If you're a legit investor, you should be able to back into your number automatically. You should be able to know what the house is worth fixed up, how much work it need, and say, all right, this is what I offer you, because I want to make my 30,000. So if I want me to make my 30 or 40,000, I gotta tell you, I need to buy for this price.
Right. And the wholesaler coming to me would not work, only because they are, again, they're gonna try to sell it to somebody else, and they would need the number to be even lower,
Yeah.
probably, than what my number will wind up being.
But she got a stack of buyers. You know what I'm saying? She don't need to deal with no wholesalers. So that's anything else you think we should talk about to the people that trying to get in the business, to give them a heads up, or they should be aware of?
I would just say, for just anybody in general, just keep your credit up, keep your money up, just be ready to buy, just be ready to put it under contract, because when deals are a good deal, everybody is on it if it's out there in the MLS. Stuff that's not on the market, of course, that's a whole nother scenario, because everybody won't know about it. But stuff that's in the MLS system, that as soon as we as agents put it on the market, investors will know if it's a good deal, and there'll be multiple offer situations, and you just gotta have your proof of funds ready and your check.
So what she's saying, before you can call an REO agent, you need to have your proof of funds, which means a bank statement showing you got enough money to buy the house you're trying to get from her, or what, a pre-approval letter from a lender,
financial
or a line of
institution.
credit statement.
Right.
If you don't have that, you either need to go find somebody to have that,
Or don't
or don't call her. So, I mean, it's quite simple. Or you want to work through somebody who has that. It's simple.
Right.
Simple game. It's a lot of hard work. It's a simple game. It's just a lot of hard work.
Right.
And building relationships. So
Right.
just align yourself with people like this. If you got somebody like Yvette on your team, you're probably going to win majority of the time. But you can't be BSing. If you come to her trying to figure out that you're going to buy the property, she wants you to come with your proof of funds. Like, even me, she still be like, send me your proof of funds. Like,
Right,
all right,
because you can't put an offer in without it. It's not. It's,
all right, I got new
the
proof
other
of funds.
side is not going to accept it.
I got new proof of funds. I'm going to send her today.
Right.
So she still asks me. And she don't even proceed till I give her that shit. You know what I mean? So get her the proof of funds. And then she don't harass me because I don't answer my phone. So she calls. She knows that she got to call me on a regular basis. So then she send me the DocuSign contract. I'll sign it. You know what I mean? And then what's the next step?
Closing.
And then she just waiting to closing date. So REO agents that's one of my tickets to how I got to where I got. Right? I buy a lot of bank properties over the years, so that's how I build my thing. So you guys need to try to find some REO agents in your area and build a relationship with them. Build a relationship with somebody that got the proof of funds if you don't have it. You feel me? Like you need the proof of funds I get to you because you're my man. You know what I mean? So those are some of the things. I hope everybody learns stuff from this. My man Meldon will be back on the next episode. I'm sorry he wasn't there. That's my guy. I'm trying to take his spot, but it's real hard because everybody say I don't know articulation. It's not my thing. He know how to talk and all that stuff. So he'll be back on the next one. Let us know if y'all want to see the day in the life of, or if y'all want to see us in another house. You want to have another forum like we had today. If you got questions for Yvette, don't forget to subscribe and like. Don't forget to go to Hand Radio. We on there every Monday at 6 o'clock. If you got any questions, just reach out.
And then I have a
Instagram.
website as well, Yvette
Yeah,
Hardison.
what's your
my
website?
website is YvetteHardison.com, and my brokerage is Upscale Realty, LLC, and you can Google my name or my business, and I'm sure you'll find it on the Google.
Right. We share an office, so go ahead. One more question.
Like, what steps would somebody that wants to be a ROA? Is it ROA?
Right.
agent?
REO.
All right, I'm gonna repeat the question.
If somebody wants to be, what steps do they need to take?
Let me repeat it
Okay.
to you. Somebody asked, what are the steps to become an REO agent? How would they go about becoming an REO agent? So I'll let Yvette elaborate on that. How do you become how somebody become an REO
my
agent?
situation is probably different than the most recent people, only because I got involved with it in the beginning of 2002. And where I didn't even know what an REO agent was. I happened to be in a building where there was a nonprofit agency, and they were buying properties directly from HUD. And HUD properties, when they were foreclosures, and HUD has a website with all their properties. But if you're a nonprofit, you had a special access to some properties. And again, that was all new to me, so they kind of schooled me on it. And they was like, well, since you're a broker, you can apply to be a broker for HUD. So they told me the steps to do that, and that's how I got in with HUD. Well, actually, it wasn't HUD. I'm sorry, Freddie Mac.
Freddie Mac, yeah.
It was with Freddie Mac, and that's how I got in initially with them. And then after that happened, some other people I worked with the VA, because they get foreclosures as well. And you just kind of go to their website and you can fill out an application. And then also a lot of times these banks and financial institutions will want broker price opinions, BPOs. And once I did so many of those for them, then they started giving me listings after that. So it was a process. It didn't happen overnight for sure. Although the Freddie Mac thing did kind of happen overnight, and I just happened to be lucky and meet the right people at the right time.
So
But that was like 20 years ago, and yeah.
It's not the same now. But
It's not the same now. Everybody, there's a lot of REO agents out there now.
yeah, but just remember what she's saying. What is it based on? Relationships.
Right.
And I keep drilling that into everybody. You got to get in this game and build relationships. You know what I mean? Like I got relationships with all my hard money lenders. I got a relationship with people like Yvette.
Relationships and reputation.
And reputation. Yeah. And you close. I guarantee you, if you go to Yvette, she give you a property and you don't close, it's gonna be hard to go back to her. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. Just like with the whole wholesale situation I had with the boat, I was like, really, bro, you calling me again?
Right. What was you calling me for, Cam?
Right, and then you had amnesia too?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
no more
so
phone
I mean,
calls.
I try not to cut people completely off, because if there's money to be made, of course, I'm still available to do that. But it's just a way to go about it, you know what I mean? Like to not acknowledge the situation that we had the first time,
Right.
that's not a good start.
No, it's terrible business.
Right.
So I want to thank Yvette for coming in and talking to us. Maybe you guys got some insight on how to start making money in real estate. Hopefully we gave you some good advice on what to do and what not to do, who to deal with, who not to deal with. So don't forget to subscribe and like before this thing go off. Subscribe and like. Go to Ham Radio. Like I said, the big brother Melvin will be back on the next episode. You know what I'm saying? I know y'all prefer to hear him than me, but thank everybody for the support. Everybody call me all the time. Everybody go to my Instagram and like the stuff. Everybody listen to us on Ham Radio. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast.